Hello everybody, my name is Hello. Welcome back to the series where we're solving Codeforces problems. In Python, today's episode, we're going to be solving problem 215a, which is called bicycle chain. Let's go ahead and read through this question first. So what the question is saying is, Vasya's bicycle chain drive consists of two parts. N stars attached to the pedal axis, M stars attached to the rear wheel axle. So what are these? So what is a star, first of all? So in your if you drive a gear cycle, I'll try to draw a gear cycle. Maybe I'm not the best at drawing, I'm sorry, but maybe we could. So this will what your cycle will be like. So this is the front wheel, right? And then you'll have your seat over here, and these two will be connected, and you'll have the pedal here, correct? Now to the pedal you'll actually have one here one axle attached, and this is what we'll call the pedal axle. So what that will look like is when you're pedaling, maybe this is not the best place to draw it, but yeah, so this will be something like this, and then that's where you will pedal basically. Okay, so you'll pedal, and I'm drawing this bigger so that we can understand what that is. And similarly you'll have the rear wheel also, which is attached to this by a chain, correct? So if I just draw that part, so you'll have something like this, and then that will go to a smaller place. Okay, and if you have gear cycle, something that you can know is there'll be these circle, and there'll be teeth basically, right? This is what we call a star. Now in this axle there'll be like a lot of stars. I think here generally there'll be 3 stars, I think, in gear cycles, and then here the rear wheel axle there'll be like 7 stars, which is for a total of 21 gears. Okay, that's how that works. So if you want to change, your left arm will control these axes and the right arm will control these axes. Okay, that's what they're talking about here. So what they're saying is that the ith star on the pedal axis has AI teeth. Okay, so there's a list called A, and there'll be values there. The ith element of A means how many teeth the ith star has. Okay, similarly, there's a list B, and that is actually keeping track of all the teeth in the real axle, and that is given by the jth element. Okay, that is what this means. So they're saying any gear ratio I comma j, something that we talked about here, for example 1 comma 2, is why we say that 21 gear ratio. Okay, has a gear ratio equal to the value b of j, a of I. I think this is something that's self-explanatory. What the gear ratio is for example 1 comma 1 will be this divided by this. I mean this divided by this, where b is the numerator and a is the denominator, something like this. Okay, now since Vasya likes integers, he wants to find gears that their ratios are integers. Okay, so this number that we're dividing here should not be a decimal, it should be an integer, is what we're saying. On the other hand, Vasya likes fast driving, so among all integers gears, he wants to choose a gear with the maximum ratio. Help him find the number of such gears. So what they're saying is, I need integer gears, I need the maximum gear, but I don't want the value of it. I want the number of maximum gears that are present in my cycle, is what they're trying to ask. So the number, the frequency of the maximum integer gear ratio is what we are supposed to find and output to the user. What we get as input is n, okay, which is the number of stars in the pedal axle, which is given by this, I mean this axle. Okay, which then you get A, the list, then you get M, which is the number of stars in the rear axle, followed by B, the list. Okay, so what we're supposed to find here is B by A, all values of that. From there we're going to be finding out all the integer ratios, then the maximum ratio and all of that. So how do you solve this question? So let's go ahead and solve this question. Something to keep in mind is, you see that the n only 50. So 50 into 50 will also only give 2500, which means you can go ahead and do a solution for O of n squared, that is loop inside a loop. That's what we're actually going to do here. So what we'll do is, for I in A, similarly we'll do for j in B, we can get all possible I comma j, correct? Then what we'll do, we'll just go ahead and divide j by I. We will check if this is an integer. How do you check if something is an integer in Python? Is if this is equal to int of j by I. Okay, that's how that works. Okay, now once we get this, we'll actually, so generally if you're finding the most maximum element from a list and you want to code that, what you'll do is you'll actually have an element called max value, and that will be initially set to 0. Then what will you do? You'll say if this the element I is greater than max value, then max value will now be I. Correct? This is something that we do. Similar to this, what we'll do is we will check if j, this value right here, right, this value is greater than max value. If it is, then we do the same thing. But there are some conditions here, right? We are not actually finding out what the maximum gear ratio is, but rather the count of it, right? So if this is greater than, we'll replace this. Then we'll also keep a count variable. Okay. What we'll do is, in this particular case, we will reset the count variable, because when there's a new maximum element, there'll be only one occurrence for it until now, correct? Whenever we're seeing. And the next time that iteration comes, what we do, if that j of I is equal to this max value that we set, what we'll do, we'll simply go ahead and increase this count by 1. Okay, this condition is something that we won't do when you're just checking the maximum element. But if you want to check the count, whenever we are replacing, we'll reset the count to 1 so that the count stays fresh when there's a new element. And whenever the same element is occurred again, we just increase this count by 1. And in the end, we can just go ahead and print this count. Okay, and that will just be our answer. Now, that being said, if you're able to understand what we're doing here, go ahead and try this out yourself. If not, let's see what this looks like. Whatever this is what I just told right now. Let's go ahead and start coding. First, let's go ahead and take n as the input. Then we'll take a, which will be list of map of in comma input dot r strip dot split, correct? Then what we'll do, we'll go ahead and take the value of m as input. Then we'll take b as list of map in comma input dot r strip dot split. Yeah. Then what as I said, for I in a, for j in b. Okay, so that we can iterate through all the possible sets of I comma j. Okay, so that will be iterating through all gears I comma j. Okay, now before that, let's go ahead and set the max value, or maybe the max gear is what we'll call. We'll set that to 0 initially, and we'll set a variable called max count, and that will be 0. Okay, the reason why I'm not using just max as the value is because max is it's actually a function. I don't want to use it there. Okay, while naming variables. So the gear ratio will be given by ratio, which is nothing but j by I. Correct. Now what do we need to check? If the ratio is equal to an integer. Now we can check that in multiple ways. As I just told, we can do the int of ratio, or we can just do j I also. But in our case, we'll just go for whatever that is. If a ratio equal to int of ratio, which is just checking if it's an integer gear, in that case what we'll do, all of this is good, right? In that case what we'll do, we'll check if this ratio is greater than the maximum gear. If it is, let us go ahead and reset this maximum gear to the integer of the ratio, and we can set the maximum count to 0. Okay, so this is the check, and again we're doing this because we'll just have the integer value always. Okay, next, what did we say? If ratios equal to max gear, in that case what, just do max count plus equal to 1. Okay, and in any other case you can just pass this, and once this is done, if you just go ahead and print this max count, I'll just show this by running. Sorry, this should be 1, guys, not 0, because when the first time we when this is encountered, already one time that occurs, right? So if I run this, all the test cases have passed. Let me go ahead and submit this solution for you also for 215 bicycle chain. So in queue running on test 1755, and you can see that it has been accepted. So this is the answer for the question that we're looking for, which is problem 215A, bicycle chain. I hope this video helped you. If you have any doubts, any alternate approaches, feel free to let them down in the comments so that you can help out other people who are looking for this. And if you have any questions, I'll always be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in another video. Until then, bye.